سيادتك بالتحديد أيضا إشارة إلى الآلية الإفريقية لمراجعة النظراء اللي بعض حتى ما يعرفش أنها قائمة وقائمة بشكل فعال في اتخاذ خطوات للحوكمة في القارة، وبالقطع الحوكمة تؤدي إلى المنع، والمنع أفضل من التصدي والعلاج. بشكر حضرتك يا فندم. سيادتك أشرت لتعزيز التعاون الدولي ولتعزيز التعاون على المستوى الأفريقي في مجال مكافحة الفساد. إذا أذنتوا أنا هرحب السيد وزير الأمن في أوغندا اللي انضم لينا منذ لحظات، السيد اللواء أيلي توموين. Mr. Ailey, we have started the session earlier, and we are looking forward to hear from you with regard to your views on the continental efforts to address the issue of corruption based on the Nigerian experience, but also in a wider scope covering the continent. Would you please start giving your presentation?
Thank you very much. Let me first correct that is the Ugandan experience, not the Nigerian experience.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate His Excellency the President of Egypt, the government and the people of the Arab Republic of Egypt for three main aspects. First and foremost, the opportunity of convening this strategic forum, the first African Anti-Corruption Forum. Secondly, for hosting the Continental Football Cup 2019. And thirdly, for Egypt being one of the leading countries in changing the corruption index in the country within a short time. First, I would like to request you, sometimes we come in these conferences and you don't look at the neighbor you are sitting with. With your permission, can you look at your neighbor and say, peace be with you, and know which neighbor you are sitting with? Because I think the main purpose why we are here is to answer the four constant questions of life. Question number one, as a continent, is where are we coming from? We've seen the figures and the facts of where we are coming from as a continent in relation to corruption. Question number two is where are we now? Yesterday we were able to get the facts, the figures, and the knowledge of where we are as a continent in regard to corruption. And question number three is where would we like to go? Where would we like to take Africa? Where would we like to take and deal with this question of Africa in regard to corruption? And everyone has called it a fight. That we are here to fight. The fourth one, and which is more important, is how shall we go there? How shall we reach that ideal of winning the battle against corruption? The opportunity of this forum is that we are here to strengthen our will, strengthen our determination, create synergies from our experiences of each country, and mobilize as leaders who have come here, I hope voluntarily, to mobilize the rest of the people, our fellow leaders, and the rest of the society. I like calling things things. Everything is a thing, anything is a thing, something is a thing. This conference, this forum is a thing. But anything is looked at in terms of its value. What is its value? And that value comes in how we relate to it. Does this thing we are calling the fight against corruption a serious thing? Does it have serious value? But value alone is not enough. Value can only be of use if it is shared. And we are here to share the values, the best practices experienced by those who are doing very well. And things happen when people meet, and they don't happen when they don't meet. Yesterday, President Al-Sisi referred to the importance of collaboration. We are here and gathered here to act together, to think together, to focus together, to fight together, and win together. Whatever achievements, and we want to thank the countries which are doing very well. We want to thank the countries which are performing well on the index. But whatever we are doing, it is important to go with others. There is an African proverb which is written in the Johannesburg airport, which says that if you want to run very fast, you run alone. But if you want to go very far, go with others. And we are here to fulfill that great requirement that we need to go with others. Each body, each force, each organization, whatever speed it moves, it depends on the goal. In the military, we say that the speed of the convoy depends on the slowest vehicle. And therefore, sometimes you may be wanting to run very fast, but because you are the same body, because you want to move together with the rest, even if you are delayed, even if you are disturbed, even if you are inconvenienced, there is the important need of us acting together. This forum is a great thing, if I may call it that. It is of high value, and sharing this great value is important for establishing a corrupt-free Africa. I am an artist by profession, and I want to thank the people who designed the graphics of this forum and those who choreographed the song of the anti-corruption song that was presented here, because they summarized and visibly displayed in a simple way how we need to look at this subject. And quickly, if I may capture my quick observations on what I think came out very clearly in the fight, or in trying to win the fight against corruption, apart from the visual symbols that I have referred to, sharing these experiences has pointed out that there are common factors that affect us all, and if we are to strengthen these measures that each of us have talked about, and I will specifically observe the main ones. I've had the opportunity of being around in government for some time. I've been in Parliament for the last 33 years and has been minister in different portfolios. And one of the greatest things that I have observed, and we have tried to do in the case of Uganda, we tried to make very tough and strong, very good laws through legislation in Parliament. We started with the anti-corruption law. We started the leaders, the declaration of assets for the leaders. We established a code of conduct for the leaders. We established the anti-corruption court. We established the Inspector General of Government. We have the Auditor General, all those and many other acts. But my observation is that many of these laws, some of them, even within our Constitution, some of them remain dusting in those books, and they never take off. Institutions, establishing institutions. We established many institutions, the Inspector General of Government, the Anti-Corruption Court, and the number of institutions. But my experience has been, and my observation, is that most of these institutions sometimes are poorly managed and poorly funded. That's an aspect that I will emphasize. Thirdly, there have been the questions like commissions or commissions of inquiry that take place. Many times, these commissions take long, and there is little follow-up at the end when they make their reports. When we establish these institutions, some of these institutions like the Anti-Corruption Court, which we also established, you find that, unfortunately, the people managing and in those courts are themselves corrupt sometimes, which makes it very difficult that there is no enforcement, there is no achievement of the purpose. There are a number of anti-corruption agencies, most of them from the civil society, which are independent outside the government, but most of the time you find that they are not coordinated properly, and unfortunately some of them also are corrupt. Now, enforcement bodies, the police, the courts, the government officials, are the ones who are also corrupt. Now, when we come to budgeting, you find countries are trying to put a process of budgeting to ensure they make the public to participate, but in the end, you find the Minister of Finance being the one to decide how much to allocate to a particular vote, and it defeats the whole purpose. I am really happy that we are here as a continent, and I would like to propose that if we think this is a valuable idea of fighting corruption, we should invest. We should not expect where we don't inspect. We should not expect anything where we don't inspect. If we are to ensure this fight to go forward, we must allocate funds there. And you find most of these institutions we put are not well funded. If 20 to 40% of our budgets are being spent in corruption, and by a specific class of people, whom I would like to describe as the elite, leaving out the rest of the public, they are the ones who are managing these budgets. They are the ones who are taking that 20 to 40% for themselves, leaving out the general public. If we are to save this, our money, we must invest there. And my proposal, I would like to make a few proposals. Mahatma Gandhi said that we have enough resources for all our needs. We only don't have enough for all our greed. Now, if we are to really save our budgets, we must put at least a certain percentage. And I would like to propose, and I have proposed it to our government, that if every budget puts at least 1% of its budget, only 1% to save the 99, it will be a big effort, and it will support those institutions that are working on fighting corruption, and it will be a starting point. It could increase. If we are losing 20%, why not put even up to 5%? But even if you started, I have carried out a survey in all the countries. None of the countries is using at least 1% of its budget in this fight. And while we say that it is useful to use a thief to catch a thief, unfortunately, these elite are not good thief catchers because they avoid catching themselves. And therefore, I would like to appeal that the second intervention which we could bring in, and I have an experience in this, is involving the general public, starting with schools. All the schools need to, it is one thing knowing something or having knowledge, but it is another understanding it. People do not do what they should, they do what they understand. Now, for the African people to understand the importance of fighting corruption, we should bring it and approach it from our education system, which is, as of now, is about getting people jobs. That's not the purpose of education. We have academic knowledge instead of knowledge for life. And knowledge for life starts with fighting your personal moral values. And I would like to bring this, that corruption it affects us all. It starts from the family, it goes to the community, it goes to the domestic, to the country, and internationally. So if we are to deal with this big issue which is with everyone's head. We need to find how to strengthen the police of the mind, and we therefore need to cooperate with all the religious institutions, education institutions, and all the other established institutions together without necessarily leaving it only to government. In 2004, I started an anti-corruption organization specifically for Africa. It is called VACOCA, Volunteers Anti-Corruption Campaign Africa. I was conscious of this idea that if we don't deal it at an African level, we'll be wasting a lot of time. And surprisingly enough, we did not get any help from any government institution. But when we invited people to come for registration for that campaign, many came and we started teaching them, and we established a syllabus, a specific syllabus with 10 topics on how to fight corruption, and we started taking it in schools. And as I speak, they are volunteers. That's why I said I hope you came here voluntarily. All revolutions of the world have a historical record that they are moved by volunteers more than people who are paid for doing a job. Well, I think if that is done, and I would like to use this opportunity, if you are willing to be recruited into that campaign as an individual, at an individual level voluntarily, I think we shall have used this forum for establishing a VACOCA for the whole of Africa. And the benefits are that even in my ministry as Minister of Security, it has helped me very much because I get information from the members because we started teaching schools. We would go through around schools teaching those 10 topics. And my proposal is that if that syllabus of how to fight corruption can be part of the syllabus starting from the primary level to the secondary level and up to the university level, it will make everyone mobilized, will be supporting